Hi there and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about goldfish, so stick around. Alrighty then, so you've probably decided to set up yourself a goldfish aquarium. So in this video we're just going to talk about the basics of what you need to do in order to set up your goldfish tank. So right off the bat, you're going to want to think about your tank size. A rule of thumb for goldfish aquariums is that you're going to want about 75 litres for the first goldfish, and then for each goldfish after that about 37 litres. So if you're speaking in gallons, that's 20 US gallons and 10 US gallons thereafter. When it comes to keeping a goldfish in an aquarium, to be honest with you, I only really recommend that you keep fancy tail goldfish in an aquarium for the long term. Sure, you can start off with a common goldfish and keep it in the tank for a while, but as it gets older, you're really going to want to move that into a pond. So for the rest of this video, the purpose is mainly to focus on fancy tails. In my aquarium, I've got a common vial-tail goldfish, and I've also got a calico vial-tail goldfish. That guy started off all different kinds of colours, but he seems to have just gone mainly orange with a little dash of white on him. I've also got myself a little ranchu in there as well. And what you've got to be cautious of when you have these fancy goldfish in there is some of them can outcompete each other. For example, the ranchu is a lot slower swimming than the other two, and that's mainly because he has a lack of a dorsal fin. So you just need to be careful that they're all getting the right amount of food. Most fancy goldfish range from about 10 centimetres to 15 centimetres. I have seen some whoppers which get over 20 centimetres, but more often than not you see them around 10 to 15 centimetres. In regards to the aquarium itself, you kind of want to stay away from any sharp objects. So sometimes you see a lot of people having boats and or other types of ornaments in the aquarium. And for a fancy goldfish, this isn't ideal. They can really hurt themselves on those. So what I would recommend is to keep it to a bare minimum. In my aquarium, I've simply got 2 anubias plants on either side, and then the rest of the tank is for open water swimming. When it comes to the water temperature of your goldfish tank, anywhere from 10 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius is good. So that's 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the actual pH of your water, I find that around 7 is the sweet spot. My aquarium is about 7.4 as I'm in quite a hard water area. But anywhere around 7 I find they do really well in. Now, when it comes to tank mates, to be honest with you, I would suggest a species-only aquarium. Half the time, the majority of fish that you can put in there with them are either going to end up being too small and get eaten, or they're going to be too fast and just outcompete them for the food. So you end up just chucking more and more food in just to try and feed your goldfish. And to be honest, they've got such a variety of different types that you can have that there shouldn't really be any need for you to put any other fish in there. I guess if I was going to lean on it, I'd put in a hillstream loach or something, but you've got to make sure that if you are adding one of those to your aquarium, that your oxygen rate is very high. Otherwise, those guys really struggle, as they normally live, as it suggests, in a hillstream. So the oxygen levels in a hillstream is ridiculously high. Now, you're going to need filtration in a goldfish aquarium, and you can't keep them in a bowl without a filter, I'm afraid, unless you're doing water changes every single day. So you're going to need a filter, and the reason for that is because goldfish produce so much waste, and they produce so much more compared to a fish of a similar size. And the reason for this is because they've actually not got a stomach. The stomach that they do have resembles more closely to an appendix, so food essentially goes straight through their intestines, and as a result the waste has more organic matter contained in it. So that means more ammonia being produced in your aquarium, which means more nitrites, which eventually means more nitrates. And as you know, once your nitrates get above 20 parts per million, you're going to want to start getting that out. So what I do is I perform a weekly 30 to 40% water change, and that helps reduce the levels of nitrate in the aquarium. So these guys are always hungry by having no stomach, so you're going to want to feed them around 2 to 3 times a day. You'll notice that they'll be pottering around your aquarium, looking for bits to eat throughout the entire day, or when they see you come into the room, they'll be shooting straight to that glass, begging for the next meal. Be cautious not to overfeed them though. It's the number one killer for goldfish, because otherwise your water is just going to get absolutely atrocious, and you're going to have to clean it out every day in order to keep it pristine. So when it comes to feeding them, goldfish are omnivores, and they'll eat almost all flake and pellet foods. To be honest with you, I would recommend a sinking pellet, and the reason for that is because it helps to avoid them feeding at the surface. And when goldfish feed at the surface, especially the fancy type, it causes them to develop bloat, and you don't really want them doing that, because that's a real pain to try and solve. You end up having a fish just floating at the top of your tank, and you don't want that. On top of feeding the flake and pellet food, so every other week I'll give them some live food or frozen food such as Daphnia, and then the other week I'll give them some veggies to help. And the type of veggies you can give them would be stuff like peas and broccoli. And essentially what I do with the peas is I defrost them in a glass of tank water, and then once I've done that, I'll take the skin off of the pea. The goldfish actually won't be able to digest that, so make sure that comes off. And then I cut the peas down to a more manageable size, and they go wild for it. So make sure you give them that, because having a bit of fibre in their diet helps to keep their digestive tract clear. And by following these steps, you should have some happy, healthy goldfish, and you'll find that they should live for anywhere up to 10 years plus for fancies. Common goldfish, obviously, if you're looking after those guys and they're in the pond, you're looking at up to 30 years or sometimes even older. So yeah, they're quite long-lived fish, and they're such fun to keep. So yeah, good luck with it, and happy fish keeping. And if you liked this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video.